different criminal street gangs in Minnesota, mostly well-known groups, infamous outlaw biker gangs such as the Hells Angels, or traditional street gangs like the Vice Lords or Gangster Disciples. But Minnesota is also home to a rare phenomenon. It is one of the only states in the U.S. with dominant Somali American gangs, most of which are situated in the Twin Cities. Some of them have aligned with the Bloods or the Crips. Some have successfully broken into the rap game, and a few are locked in violent rivalries that spanned decades and show no sign of stopping. This is their story. Minnesota's Somali American population was virtually non-existent until the 1990s, when Somalia's former leader, Mohammed Siad Barre, was ejected from what had essentially been dictatorial rule, leading to widespread violence and civil war across the country. Massive amounts of starvation that affected adults and children alike, and ultimately displaced roughly 2 million civilians who became refugees. A few thousand who came to America initially settled in San Diego, California, but the Twin Cities soon became an unlikely destination for Somali refugees. They came here after word spread that good jobs were to be found, and that due to Minnesota's history of welcoming refugees dating back to World War II. But not everyone was so welcoming. A gang of white youths, known as the All-American Boys, were linked to a number of attacks on Somali immigrants in the mid-1990s, including an assault on a 12-year-old boy who was beaten unconscious with clubs. In the face of this violence, and caught between American society and parents who tended to be conservative Muslims, many second-generation Somali immigrants began banding together, and a fraction of them would go on to form gangs that exist to this day. According to numbers put forth by federal authorities, which aren't always accurate, as they're often based on anecdotes from informants or arrest data that may paint an incomplete picture, the number of Somali American gang members is a tiny portion of the estimated 80 to 120,000 Somali American population in Minnesota, but which has grown over the years. In the 1990s, it was estimated that all the Somali American gangs in the Twin Cities comprised a few dozen people. By the early 2000s, that number had grown to about 200, and it is now estimated to be several hundred. Still, the gangs are considered a significant public safety threat. Here's the former Hennepin County Sheriff Rich Stanek testifying about them before Congress in 2012.
Somali gangs are unique in that they are not necessarily based on the narcotics trade, as are other traditional gangs. Somali gang criminal activities are not based on a certain geographical area or turf. Recently, Somali gangs have committed a high volume of credit card skimming and credit card fraud and witness tampering and intimidation. In July of 2008, a gun store in Minnetonka, Minnesota was burglarized. The guns were taken by members of the Somali outlaws. They're growing in influence and violence and practice certain cultural behaviors that render some traditional U.S. criminal justice tools less effective.
The gangs go by many names, like the Hot Boys, the Rough Tough Somali, the Monty Bun with Attitude, the St. Paul Pistol Boys, and the Somali Mafia. But the two groups that have stood out the most are the Somali Outlaws and their rivals, the 1627 Boys, also known as the Six Rings. The Somali Outlaws generally hail from a part of Minnesota around the nation's first Somali shopping center, known as the Carmel Mall, while 1627 stems from the Cedar Riverside area. In fact, 1627's origination can be traced back to one apartment building at 1627 6th Street South, which rests a short distance from the Mississippi River. The rivalry between the two gangs has been blamed for dozens of shootings, including strings of murders and attempted murders, some of which occurred within hours of one another. Only a small handful have been solved and successfully prosecuted, but many more appear to be related. One such sequence of shootings between 1627 and the Somali Outlaws occurred throughout 2019, and included the murder of a 17-year-old boy who did not appear to be the intended target of his killers. On February 10th, 2019, at around 2:45 a.m., Minneapolis police were called to Franklin Avenue West and Hennepin Avenue South, where a red Chrysler minivan had been riddled with bullets, apparently from a 9mm pistol. There were 3 people inside the Chrysler, one of whom said the shooter pulled up in a maroon sedan and said, "I think it's them," before he opened fire. The victims were targeted by Somali outlaws because of their association with the 1627 Boys. Police didn't catch the shooter until he'd shot and paralyzed another man, less than 2 weeks later. On February 19th, 2019, shots rang out in broad daylight on Cedar Avenue South, an area associated with the 1627 boys. The targets appeared to be two men who were standing on the sidewalk, talking, but only one of them had been struck. His name was Obsa Bule, and he was lying on the ground, suffering from a gunshot wound to the back. Surprisingly, he didn't greet police with the typical chorus of "I don't know," and actually identified his attacker. He said he'd been shot by, quote, FME's brother, a Somali outlaw he'd known since high school, and told police a possible motive. He said he was shot because he hung around 1627 members, and because the Somali outlaws were mad about the recent shooting of one of their guys. Police theorized that the shooter was trying to hit the man Bule was talking to, a 1627 boys member named Kamal Mohammed, who was not so willing to cooperate. Before police arrived, he told a crowd of onlookers, quote, "We didn't see shit because we ain't snitches."
How long has it been? Oh, my bad. How long has it been like that? About a minute or a couple seconds?
Yeah, it was going for a minute.
For a minute.
I'm gonna say 2 minutes, y'all. I was hoping it could just correct itself, but it didn't though. So yeah. Like I'm gonna say like a minute 30 seconds, bro.
How clear is it now? Because I haven't done anything different.
Yeah, you in the matrix.
I'm still in the matrix. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. All right, I'll back out, back in. They starting early with this shit because normally at least you get a couple rounds in this joint, man. Well, here we go. Twitter starting early.
Oh yeah. They get Twitter glitching. You know what I'm saying? Reset your phones, update them apps, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Check for them OS operating system updates on your phone. You know how this technical stuff be. You know what I mean? Got to stay ready in case anything go wrong. Keep your phone updated. You know what I mean? Keep your phones updated, y'all. Keep your phones updated. Share the room out. Hopefully that'll help hold the space up a little bit. Come on over to the Screw Tube as well. Hold on, let me turn it down over here so I can play it. Come on over to the Screw Tube as well. You know what I mean? So that way we can get some viewership over here and get Black State of America channel not just monetized, but so it can actually flow through the algorithms of YouTube, and more Black folks across the country and the world will eventually start seeing these videos and these recaps and things that is going on that they have missed out on over the course of a year that we've been plugging this work in. Black State of America Radio, that's the new hashtag. Hashtag BSOA Radio. BSOA Radio. Hashtag that out, y'all. BSOA Radio. Make sure y'all got your account on Funded Socially too. Fund it socially, all one word.com. Fund it socially, all one word.com, or SOXCIAL.com. SOXCIAL.com. The URL will change to Fund it socially. But let me know if you back up, like, or whatever. You want to be rambling.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. So overall on Funded Socially, they changed the member section. So I think it's the first in the Jumbotron. They made it more like that circle thing that I guess people have it on Twitter, but it's probably on other social media too. So it's more like, instead of it being like in a organized line of just, at this point we're almost got 600 members. They've taken, I guess, the more active users and put them in those little circles, so you actually get a visual of who's on there. If you are on there, just follow people, comment, post, like, share. You can share directly from there to Twitter and I believe Facebook and possibly LinkedIn as well. Motherfuckers. God damn it, bro. There ain't no way it should be doing this shit, because I'm actually on the God damn it. Holy shit, bro. Yeah, man, they just kicked me again, and I'm on the Wi-Fi and everything, so I'm a little annoyed. But shout out to the folks on YouTube. I was gonna say about the algorithm. So when we first launched the platform, probably about a year, maybe a little over a year ago, it's hard to tell at this point. There were you go to search on Google. I use DuckDuckGo. You couldn't find anything really. maybe 6 months in, you could find a couple of things in the image search and in the main search. But now when you pop it in there, I just did it a couple of days ago. It's every listed item. And I think on DuckDuckGo, you got the first page, and then they might filter in some other things that were kind of unrelated. But I think on Google, it just kind of went on and on and on and on and on. So it's actually a really important thing that DJ was talking about is that the more activity that we generate, the search engines, which are really the bigger push, they'll pick it up. And there are other businesses that are called fund it this, fund it that. And so and then there's also the topics that we talk about, which is Black American, Black state of this and Black this and Black that. So the more activity we generate, the more these search engines will pick it up. And so it actually is a benefit just to have the traffic and just to have people participating and liking and posting and sharing and commenting and everything else. And we do have a lot of active participants at this point. There's probably about a dozen or more active participants that are commenting and engaging and posting over there. So it actually makes it it just feels a little bit better because more people are participating in the posting and everything. So but I'm gonna get to the finishing of this video. There's about 10 minutes left. So first, so far it's been, they talked about the what happened in Somali. Now the guy who essentially was the dictator, Ilhan Omar's father worked under him in some capacity. And so that's how she got the sweetheart deal. They got these clans, factions that are against each other. They're got whatever thousands of years of history, whatever it is, and they're always going to be that way. And so what's happening is the United States picked a side, and they decided to bring these people over here and support them, set them up, facilitate, yada yada yada. They get over here, they start getting violent. This of course sounds like a white guy. He tries to blame some, they're defending themselves from some white organization. Okay, well, that's the same story that Black America has, because all gang crime is immigrant crime. I mean, there would be no gangs if there were no immigrants here. And so the difference being is that we are not immigrants. Like, we're not coming here and bringing some clanism over here. And, according to him, they're all from the same group of people, the same clan. So why are they then creating all these clans over here, factions, gangs, so that they can, kill each other? And, what I said in the other space earlier in the week was, if they're just randomly shooting people in broad daylight, there's no telling if they're killing Black Americans or if that violence is displacing Black Americans. They're already displacing us through, forms of gentrification, buying up the business district, according to the brother, the elder who lives in Minnesota and who's essentially telling us what's going on up there. There's a recent video of a fight in the school where these women who are obviously Somalis or Muslims at the very least are attacking another girl, and the Somali is saying, "I don't give a fuck. I'm a killer. I'm a killer," as they're trying to get her off of this other girl. So it's a conflict inducing situation that the Democrat Party is 1,000% responsible for. There's no one else that's responsible for it other than the Democrat Party, and they run the state. They run Minneapolis. It is what it is, and they're white. They're white liberal blue devils. And I think we got to get in the habit of calling them blue devils and red devils. If we're going to keep talking about red and blue politics, they're just red devils and blue devils, and there's no difference. Effectively, maybe in the way that they spill out and spew out their poison is a little differently, but I'd rather have that out in your face, out front, put it in your face poison, so I know what I'm dealing with, versus the the sly fox, as Brother Malcolm, would describe the liberals. So I think for whatever reason, that deception has been very difficult for our people to recognize and work against. It seems as though the deception works really, really well. It seems that the 13 million registered Democrats who vote at 90+% are fully convinced that these blue devils are on their side, and they're not. So here we go.
At around 2:45 a.m., Minneapolis police were called to Franklin Avenue West and Hennepin Avenue South, where a red Chrysler minivan had been riddled with bullets, apparently from a 9mm pistol. There were 3 people inside the Chrysler, one of whom said the shooter pulled up in a maroon sedan and said, "I think it's them," before he opened fire. The victims were targeted by Somali outlaws because of their association with the 1627 boys. Police didn't catch the shooter until he'd shot and paralyzed another man, less than 2 weeks later. On February 19th, 2019, shots rang out in broad daylight on Cedar Avenue South, an area associated with the 1627 boys. The targets appeared to be 2 men who were standing on the sidewalk, talking, but only one of them had been struck. His name was Obsa Boule, and he was lying on the ground, suffering from a gunshot wound to the back. Surprisingly, he didn't greet police with the typical chorus of "I don't know," and actually identified his attacker. He said he'd been shot by, quote, FME's brother, a Somali outlaw he'd known since high school, and told police a possible motive. He said he was shot because he hung around 1627 members, and because the Somali outlaws were mad about the recent shooting of one of their guys. Police theorized that the shooter was trying to hit the man Boule was talking to, a 1627 boys member named Kamal Mohammed, who was not so willing to cooperate. Before police arrived, he told a crowd of onlookers, quote, "We didn't see shit because we ain't snitches." But detectives didn't have to look too far for the shooter. He and his driver had fired from a rented Ford sedan, then sped away and crashed the car at 1813 Riverside Avenue South. They fled the scene, but inside the Ford, police found a Fanta soda bottle with DNA on it. The profile matched the same man Boule had identified as the shooter, Farhan Muse Ibrahim, aka Crazy 8. Boule not only identified him, he'd also shown police a music video featuring Crazy 8's older brother, Abdullahi Muse Ibrahim, who also went by FME and was a rising rapper in the Minneapolis area. A warrant was generated for Crazy 8's arrest, but he wouldn't be brought into custody until after the same gun was used for another murder just 2 weeks after Boule was paralyzed from the waist down. The night of March 1st, 2019 was a particularly violent one for the Twin Cities. Police recorded 3 shootings within 2.5 hours, all linked to the conflict between the Somali outlaws and 1627. It started around 9:15 p.m. at the Carmel Mall, when a Somali outlaw member named Abdi Fatah Yusuf was shot and injured, and subsequently rushed to Hennepin Healthcare. Over the next hour, around 20 of Yusuf's friends began trickling into the hospital, including Yusuf's cousin, Omar Noor Hassan. On surveillance footage, Hassan appeared distraught. He was crying, clearly worried about his cousin. But when FME arrived, the mood began to shift. He and Hassan began to confer, and a little after 10:30 p.m., they left together. Around an hour later, there was a non-fatal shooting in 1627 territory. 20 minutes later, all hell broke loose nearby. A little before midnight, a group of 6 people arrived at a restaurant and bar on Cedar Avenue South, known as the Red Sea. They pulled up, and 2 of the group walked in, apparently to purchase cannabis from someone inside, while the other 4 sat in a black Toyota Camry, waiting for their friends to come out. It is unclear if they saw the light-colored Chevrolet sedan following them to the Red Sea. Without warning, 2 men fired a total of 27 shots into the parked Camry, paralyzing Mohammed Salad and killing 17-year-old Abdiwasa Farah. A third man, Joshua Poplawski, suffered a relatively minor gunshot wound and walked himself to the hospital. Incredibly, It turned out that Kamal Mohammed, the same man believed to be the intended target in the Obsabule shooting, was driving the Camry and had gone into Red Sea, once again escaping injury. When he was taken to the police precinct, he asked an officer if he could call his grandma, but instead he called Obsabule, and the two had a brief conversation police couldn't understand because they spoke in Somali. Once again, Kamal wasn't cooperative, but while police were trying to get information from him, the lead investigator, Sergeant Molly Fisher, discovered the shooting was caught on camera. The Red Sea and other nearby businesses produced security footage that showed the two shooters were wearing clothing nearly identical to what FME and Hassan had on at the hospital about an hour before the victims were shot. And when police conducted ballistics analysis, one of the guns was linked to the February 19th shooting, which Crazy 8 had already been identified as a suspect in. Now, FME and Hassan were wanted for murder. Hassan fled to Kenya within days of the shooting, but was arrested by U.S. Marshals and extradited back to the U.S. FME turned up in Texas, and when he was arrested, another rapper with ties to the Somali outlaws, Kamaldeen Mohammed Muse, aka K Pizzle, was with him. Crazy 8 was also arrested out of state in Massachusetts. FME would eventually plead to a second-degree murder charge and receive 27 years and 6 months in prison. Crazy 8 also pled out, for a combined total of 10 years in both shooting cases. Here is Minneapolis officer Christopher Daubel, fist-bumping a fellow officer who had just fired rubber bullets at protesters after the George Floyd murder. Daubel is considered by Minneapolis police to be one of the city's best experts on the Somali outlaws and the 1627 boys, and he's the one who identified K Pizzle as the, quote, main rapper of the Somali outlaws. At Hassan's murder trial, he also showed jurors pictures of FME standing next to Tekashi 6ix9ine before 6ix9ine became a snitch, and explained that the Somali outlaws view themselves as Bloods, and the 1627 boys tend to see themselves as Crips. At the end of the trial, Hennepin County prosecutors said Hassan, quote, stalked and killed a 17-year-old boy, and, quote, rained gunfire on the car, while the defense denied Hassan was a gang member and said the police had jumped to conclusions. Quote, Sergeant Fisher's assumptions quickly led her to the conclusion she leapt to, that Omar Hassan is a murderer. With arrogance, she declared sitting there that any more investigation was unnecessary, end quote. Jurors convicted Hassan of murder and gave him 20 years. 7 months after the Red Sea shooting, an influential member of the Somali outlaws named Mustafa Chucky Ali was murdered near 23rd Avenue North and Aldrich Avenue North as he approached a Jeep containing a 1627 boys member named Mahad Jama Ali, a Percocet dealer known as Blue, and the Jeep's owner whose pill habit got him into the situation. Chucky must have spotted Ali in the Jeep because the Impala he was in slowed down before he decided to get out and walk up. After a brief exchange, Ali began to shoot, and Chucky started to return fire with his own pistol as he fell. One of the bullets struck Ali, who turned up at a hospital for treatment later that day. Chucky's two companions tried to rush him to a hospital, but were intercepted by police, who stopped the Impala and discovered that Chucky was dead from a gunshot wound inside. Though Ali eventually took a plea deal, he refused to admit any connection to 1627 and wrote on his plea form, quote, "This is not for the benefit of a gang." Before he died, Chucky allegedly told those around him, quote, "The ops got me," referring to rivals. But the most well-known incident involving the Somali outlaws is an infamous human trafficking case filed in federal court in Tennessee in 2010. Prosecutors claimed that a group of Somali outlaws and Somali mafia members, along with numerous co-defendants who weren't gang members, had teamed up to traffic children, including a 12-year-old girl who federal judges actually described in a public court record as, quote, beautiful and buxom, and known by the nickname Double D. The feds claimed that the girl had been forced into prostitution and had been sexually abused by the defendants whenever they felt like it. After serious credibility issues involving a second alleged victim came up during trial, just 3 out of the 9 defendants received partial convictions while the other 6 were acquitted. But the case fell apart even more after that, when federal judges in an appeals court ripped through the lead investigator, Minneapolis officer Heather Waker, stating that she, quote, exaggerated or fabricated, end quote, important elements of the story and had flat out lied to a grand jury. The 6th District Appeals Court concluded, quote, in short, this looks less like an organized venture than a crime of opportunity, involving these criminally ambitious young men and this gullible, or more likely reckless and rebellious young woman. And local media in the aftermath questioned whether Waker should remain employed as a law enforcement officer. Ironically, while this case basically turned out to be a complete distortion, it stunned the nation and generated coast-to-coast media coverage, while the very real problem of violent rivalries between these gangs receives very little attention outside of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. In fact, the biggest efforts to curb these gangs are coming from within the Somali community in the Twin Cities itself, which frequently holds summits and other organized efforts to mediate conflicts and turn youngsters away from joining gangs. Despite these efforts, the Somali American gangs of Minnesota are still very much active, with no signs of going away anytime soon. Thank you for listening.
Okay,
If there are any stories,
that's that one. So that gives you a little bit of insight as to, what is going on with the people as they come over here, at least their quote unquote youth, or up to their, now he said somewhere between 90 and 120,000 in that state, which is a lot higher than the number I came across, which I think was 86,000. So, and that's another issue, is because they don't actually really know. I mean, this is a whole nother issue. They don't know how many of those people are there, just like they don't know how many illegal immigrants came to the country. And here's another thing, to be really, really blunt. These people coming across the border, we don't know if some of those people are their people or not, right? They could be, because if they couldn't get through the legal way because there's restrictions or quotas or whatever it is, they already got a base here. All they got to do is get across the border. It doesn't matter what city they get to, because once they're in the interior, they can simply move around the same way these fugitives did when they got arrested and released. So it's something that they could be adding to their numbers, and we won't even know it. But they got this advocate in the U.S. Congressperson who could certainly try to facilitate them getting green cards, them getting all of these benefits, these some people are calling them reparations, right, for illegal immigrants, migrants, and all of that BS. And so it's something that I think we should pay attention to. At the end of the video, he said no one's really paying attention to it. Well, it's something that we absolutely must start paying attention to, because, let's say they take over Minnesota. For me, I say fuck Minnesota and Wisconsin, because all they do is lock our people up there. They got some of the highest incarceration rates in the country in those two states. And, it's flat black numbers is about 500,000 in each state. But now we know in Minnesota, shit, it could be as high as half of those people are not our people. Ain't no telling what's going on in Wisconsin yet, because haven't really had the time to look beyond just the incarceration rate. I think Wisconsin is the highest incarceration rate of Black Americans in the country. So what are we doing up there? Like, what is, I know we went up there chasing jobs, because that's kind of what we do. That's what we've been trained to do. And it's unfortunate that we've had to, move towards career, move towards factories, move towards whatever, that push-pull conversation that is before Charles Blow. Let me get that out, because someone on YouTube mentioned Brother Blow. The push-pull actually comes from the original Great Migration, the two waves of the Great Migration. That is a term that is much, much older than he is. And so we've been chasing money, but we need to say, okay, we did that. We got what we got. It is what it is. Now it's time to start chasing politics, start time chasing authority, positions of authority. Because then when they bust people in, if they've had the gall to bust people in, we just bust them right back out. We lock them out of licensing. We lock them out of everything that we can legally, constitutionally lock them out of, because they're not U.S. citizens. We put it in our constitution. You have to be a U.S. citizen to enjoy the luxuries of state benefits, whatever those may be. And then you ship them right back out, and that certainly would be an expense on our part, on the state's part. But I think if you make it legally hostile, that they won't even want to come there. And here's the other thing: with us in positions of authority, they're not going to want to be around us anyway, especially if they know we don't want them around us. Right now, we've been blinded. We've been under this veil of fog of not understanding how these people operate. And even still in Minnesota, they still don't really recognize. I mean, they know it's these people, but they're still not like in the streets about it. They're still not ready to make it very, very clear and very plain, like what has happened in this reparations conversation. So there is value all over the reparations conversation, especially when it comes to disaggregating, delineating, and understanding who's doing what and what's going on in the midst of this melanated mix. Because I think when we do that, the Pan-Africanist, flat black, Democrat, demon, blue devil, D suckers. Let me censor myself. Those people can kick rocks. They can just kick rocks, man. Genghis, you got it.
All right, great space, man. Yeah, the other day when I was like, Ilan Omar and Elise surrounding her seemed to be politically astute. They've shown that time and time again. And I'm saying, it would be obviously, if they understood the way our system works, and seems like they do, the best move for them would be to have a Somali majority state, or at least a Islamic majority state, right? And I know people thought I was being crazy and laughing off, and though I was speculating, it started to look more and more like I wasn't too far off the mark.
No, you're right on point.
Now,
right on point.
They could, I don't know the numbers. I haven't looked at the numbers. You probably started digging to it. I'm glad you're keeping up on this information. As I get more and more time, I'm going to actually review everything you post and then try to bring some more information on my own to add to the pot. My thing is this. So, like you mentioned or foreshadowed that it'll be so easy for them to do it, because if we allow things to keep moving the way they're moving with the unchecked immigration, because all they can do is all these people come across the border by the millions per year. Like you said, we don't have a real count on those numbers, right? So we don't know how coordinated that could be for them, right? So they can just pop up in that region of the country, and then because of some misguided or treasonous democratic policy, they become citizens within a short period of time, given citizenship, or at least by that state, you know what I'm saying? And then, boom, there they got it. They got control of a whole state, which will actually, in effect, give them more control, more prestige on the world stage, more power, more authority than they will ever see in their country from where they came from in their lifetime. So people really need to talk about that. That's why our people don't understand the power of having the authority of a state. They're going to have everything they could have had in the country. So basically, what we're understanding is Omar was basically coming from an ethnic group that was suppressing and oppressing another ethnic group and got expelled. So this could be the perfect comeback for her to get the authority of America behind her. And let's talk about that angle. If you really want to be real about it, let's put that out there. Would it be in America's best interest to allow them to do that? Because they could. Let's think about the public relations of it. Let's think of the influence they can inflict over the whole continent of Africa. They'll be more effective to inflict the American will than African, in my opinion. We really think about it, because as you've taught us and as we've learned, the states have they could actually do deals and trade with other foreign countries. So this all could be a good setup, man. This all could be at the highest level. It could probably go well above her head or any other foreign actors. It could be a part of the deep state, man. It's a lot of twists and turns this can go. And I am speculating, so I'll put that out there, but it is worth chopping it up, dissecting, and saying, is this in the realm of possibility? Because that's how this works. When you're responsible and you survey threats, you always don't rule anything out. You take a serious look at it without or dismiss it as fanciful or just being hyperbolic. And I'll end.
Yeah, absolutely. So to the point that you just made or started off with about that, because I think I was in the space and I heard you ask that. And so I got this post up here. Let me get it up here. So this person is called Mujahid Stafio Ibn Islan Al. I can't get the last because this is just a screenshot. So he's got one of these long ass Muslim names. Let's just put it that way. He says there is power with numbers, breed like rats, and establish global dominance. Inshallah, the 21st century will see the great rise of Islam. Glory be to Allah. Then he says, my message to Europeans that think they are Americans, go back to your country in capital letters. This land is Somali now, with the Somali flag, the blue flag with the white star. Soon Minnesota will be the first state to make Somali the official language. Hashtag Unakale. And then this other, and those were two different posts, I believe. This and I don't got the date there, but this date is 12/17/23, so just a month or so ago. This one says, long live the replacement. It's 5 of those blue Somali flags with the white star. And then it's the state of Minnesota with the huge white star, and it's covered in blue to match their flag. So this is what these people are up to. And this is what this Ilhan Omar is up to. She talks to the Somali president directly. She's got these people thinking that she's like some type of emperor ruler over here. And they are intent on, and I hope for the people that didn't really understand or hear me read that, he's saying this land is Somali now. Soon Minnesota will be the first state to make Somali the official language. Like, I mean, and we got.
That's crazy, man. It seems like listen, man. I said it. You've been on it. You've seen it. I'm gonna give my shout out to you, because had I not been frequent in these rooms, I wouldn't understand what I was seeing or the gravity of the moves they're making. But we got to point this out. And this is just to highlight the point that we can do the same, and we need not move in fear like a lot of our people seem to have. So here's the thing. As much as we don't agree with this, as much as we don't want that to happen, if these people were actually naturalized citizens and are actually citizens, there's nothing anybody can do about it. They're not breaking any laws. They're not operating outside the Constitution. We really got to point that out. Now, if these are illegals and they're going to try to have them all housed over there or hovering around somewhere and move them all in and then give them citizenship, that's a different story. But if they had the smarts enough to do what they're doing, nobody can stop them. They're not doing anything illegal, whether we agree with it or not, whether we think it's a good, bad thing or not. Because we have to keep in mind, the same way we do them, when we take over our states, the other quote-unquote Americans are going to feel the same way about us. So we got to keep that insight in mind. And it's good to watch and see how they move about it. And we can kind of get a little foresight to see how the opposing people go about trying to stop them from doing it. So let's just sit back and watch, enjoy, learn.
Man, so wow, because because me, I feel like I'm a few years ahead of the curve, and I kind of feel like, while some have picked up this information and grasped it and understand what the assignment is, that for a lot of our people, we got this big carrot of reparations, right? And I'm gonna just call it what it is. It's this huge carrot, right? And in politics, they use the carrot or the stick. So this reparation thing is the carrot. The check is in the mail. The check is on the way, right? So people have been really, really engaged, because at the end of that rainbow, there's a pot of gold there, right? So that keeps people really highly engaged, right? And then you got really not a whole lot else after that. You really don't have a whole lot else going on after that. Because we know, again, red devil, blue devil, what's the difference? There is none. I'm not getting on that merry-go-round of red devil versus blue devil politics. So what else is left? We're minoritized in every jurisdiction that we're in, even the places where they're so-called black majority districts. They're not, in fact, black majority districts, because they go on raw numbers, not on actual voter numbers, which there are people out there that are saying, and they know and understand, that this is really not a black majority voter district, because you're using children and people who are ineligible to vote to get to that 52% number, or whatever it is. So we need the white LGBT and all these other coalitions in order to get a black person in office. And so the black person who gets in office is not catering to the black majority people in his district. He's catering, or she's catering, to the LGBT, the devil agenda, not the Black American agenda. And so what are they doing? They're flooding the country with illegal immigrants so they can give them path to citizenship. They can make them full-fledged U.S. citizens, and then they can vote. Now, who are they going to vote for? Some people can say, well, once they get here, they start voting Republican, it's 50-50. Okay, well, fine. Let's say it's 50-50. Let's say nothing changes, except for what does actually change is we become a smaller percentage of the population. We become reduced because they're getting all the benefits and all the access to funding through the banking system, because President Biden issued out an alert that said you can't discriminate against these people just because of their status. They're illegal in the country. You can't discriminate from giving them loans. I just put this up in the Jumbotron in Minnesota. This was back in June. They were providing illegal immigrants with free college tuition. This is Minnesota. Like, there's a lot of shit going on in Minnesota we don't know. I'm gonna go find that Minnesota farmer labor party and all the crazy shit, because what they did was, we use that as an example. They got the governors, they got both houses of the state house and the assembly and the Senate, and then they were able to push through their agenda with no resistance, because they controlled all three branches of government. And they're super progressives, so they're putting in all this super liberal progressive agenda, but none of it really trickles down to benefit Black America. And very likely because we got this Somali person there that is coordinating everything she does with the US government, with the Somali government, and with the state of Minnesota government, that likely all of this, any benefits are going to go to her population over ours. There's no one there to represent or defend us. I don't know how long See, the thing is, we've had this survival. We'll survive. We'll get through it. You know, things will get bad. You know, hard times. Just like the blue. Look out, homeboy! Don't let it catch you. And we kind of been conditioned to survive and get to the next thing and the next thing. Problem is, these things are coming rapidly. They're coming so fast, you don't even know what's happening. Because as much as I dig and just through the grace of God land upon information, I know I'm missing 1,000 bits of information. And I try to dig as much as I possibly can, as often as I can, but I know I'm missing a lot. And nobody's paying attention on our behalf. I'm gonna let Duncan go, and then Miss Rella, shout out to you if you want to speak. You know, you just jump in whenever you get a chance, and we'll keep the conversation going.
Hey guys, before you go, Duncan, just want to say shout out to the room. I'm here, just having a little dinner, listening to you guys. I have some things to say, but I'm gonna finish my dinner. You got it, Duncan.
All right, thank you. I was just listening to y'all talk, and I come from a red state, Alabama, and really is not a state that's really not friendly to criminals who break in the United States and, you know, stuff like that, illegal immigrants or whatever, you know, illegal aliens, whatever word people choose to use. But I don't know, like I was just, you know, like one thing about me, like when I listen to problems, I sit and I try to think about solutions. How could it help us? You know, for one, like we all know that this is a crime, right? I heard somebody else on the app say it. It was a genius when they said it. No, it wasn't. It wasn't on the app. It was on YouTube. It was a podcast person. I forgot who it was though. I forgot because I like to give people credit when they come to stuff. But they was like, now it's funny that they don't want that razor wire down on the border in Texas, you know, to keep them criminals from breaking in the country, you know, and being illegal aliens and stuff. But when it comes to prisons having barbed wire on the fence, they don't care nothing about that. You know, and I was like, I never thought about it like that. You know, because both of them are considered criminals, you know, the prisoners who might just be in jail for weed, small amounts of weed, like in Alabama, small amount of marijuana is still a felony that can send you to prison. And so it might just be seeing something small as weed, you know, and now you're behind a barbed wire fence. But you are able to illegally break into a country and barbed wire fence is all of a sudden a problem. I think it was very, to me, that was very groundbreaking when they said that, because I never even thought of that, you know. And my thing is, I was daydreaming, listening to y'all. I'm a truck driver. I'm just working this wheel, thinking about what y'all saying and thinking about, you know, what if the world could be how I want it to be, you know, which is not. That's not reality. But I would say, like, in states that's not in support of illegal aliens, why not, you know, reduce people who are on the chain gangs who are Americans, right? You got a lot of these people on the chain gangs working the highways, cutting grass, keeping our highways in order, doing a lot of other things. I'm like, why don't they just, you know, send it somebody, okay, if we catch you in the state of Alabama, you're going to have to do 10 years mandatory minimum on the chain gang. You're going to have to cut the grass in Alabama, make sure our highways straight, make sure the trash is picked up on the side of the highway, and once them 10 years are over with, you know, we deport you back to wherever you came in from, you know. And I think that's one thing that can kind of help us out, since they want to sneak over here so bad. They can help our highways out, you know, make our state look way better, you know. And another thing I was daydreaming about, like I said, ain't nothing but a daydream, and it might not be logical, but it's just something I think about. You know, a lot of homes, I don't care if you black, white, or whatever, a lot of homes in America, you know, need remodeling. And I don't see why they can't, you know, get the illegals who sneaking over here to work on the chain gang to remodel them houses. You know, that labor we don't have to pay. You know, and I know they consider that as slavery, and I don't jump on that whole hoopla about, you know, forced labor for criminals and slavery, because I don't, you know, slavery, if you own a slave, you have a child, they're gonna be a slave. I don't even equate that to what our ancestors went through. If you choose to break in the country and be a criminal, you know, you just have to pay the consequences. So that's all I'm saying. It don't have to be logical, but I think that we can use that to our benefit for real. But that's all. And I don't see that in progress either. I think that people hijack the progressive movement. I think feminism, homosexuality, and illegal immigrants are weaponized against progressive politics. You know, feminism was used to derail the human rights struggle of Black Americans. Through what they think, Title IX or whatever like that, and the homosexual movement was weaponized to derail the civil rights movement as well. And as we already see, the legal immigration movement is doing the same thing. So I'm careful with my words. I don't care what mainstream call it, but I refuse to call that progressive politics. I think they hijack progressive politics, just like the racist white people hijack the basic reason, the original reason of the Republican Party. They hijack the original reason of the Republican Party. They're doing the same thing with progressive politics. And that's just all I want to say. Thank you.
Hey, shout out to the trucker. Let me ask you a question, because what you describe as weaponizing progressive politics, everything that because I really have never defined the term, but that's what I understand progressive politics to be. So what is your definition or understanding of what progressive politics is?
Well, I was saying that they were weaponized to stop progressive politics. I don't telling a woman she don't need a man in her house is progress. You know, that's actually a weapon against intact families, which is progress, right? I don't think a man having sex with a man or a woman having sex with a woman is progress. That is actually a weapon against progress. And devaluing the meaning of citizenship is anti-progress. So I think that they weaponize movements against, and then take on the definition of progress themselves. You know, kind of like how they're doing with hip hop. You know, it is basically they have, like, in my opinion, they have like a one-trick pony show, right? It's no different than anything they have done for thousands of years. They'll come in, they'll come in as the Romans. Say, all right, the Hebrews, y'all need to sit down. We gonna feed you to the lions. Blase, 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 blase. Now all of a sudden, the Messiah look like a Roman. You know, they co-opt the movement, right? It made them look like a Roman. Same thing with hip hop. Same thing rock and roll. We don't want to hear that nigga blase, blase, blase. And next thing you know, rock and roll is white. They co-opted. Same thing with the Republican Party. Republican Party started stop slavery. They did the same thing as I just kept saying. They come in, co-opted. You know, the Southern strategy. You know, they come in, co-opted, and then they make it about them. Same thing with progress, right? Progress is not Democrat or Republican. Progress is just progress. They come in, say, black women, we with you, sister girl. The white women saying that. All the hippies is chic revolutionaries, you know. We down with the Black Panthers. We down with, next thing you know, they co-opted, and then they make it all about them and put you out of it, you know. And then next thing you know, the definition itself is about them. It's not about progress, really, because, as I was saying, you know, being gay is not progress. That's anti-sex. You can't produce no life being gay. Same thing with telling a woman she don't need a man. That's anti-progress. So I'm sorry to be long-winded, but that's kind of how I see. That's my definition of progress.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And here's this may be interesting to know. Most of the things that you described as progress, or actually some people consider conservative values or even traditional values. And so when you progress from tradition to this new, whatever you want to call it, new ideology, that actually is what many consider progressing, because you are changing from what everything you said, which was traditional values, man, woman, child,
I
homes.
just want to give. It's not tradition not to be gay, man. If a man having sex with a man, don't supposed to have sex with man. That ain't, to me. I don't consider that tradition. That's just against nature.
No,
You don't consider that
no,
against tradition.
bro. You're misunderstanding. The
Okay,
tradition,
my bad.
yeah, the tradition is a man, woman, and a child, a family. That's what is traditional. You're not progressing to what is natural. You're progressing to something that's unnatural. So the traditional
That's not
value.
even progress. That's degressing.
Yeah, there you go. You're degenerating, and
Yeah,
so
that's degenerating if you pushing homosexuality. But
right.
what I'm saying is, hold up, let me say this: it's progress to have intact families. Let's not pretend that we don't come from slaves who came from like broken up families. They'll sell the mother over here and the father over there. So that's not our tradition. Intact families is not our tradition, unless you like coming from another reality that I don't come from, right? Because my third great grandfather had his brother do slavery. He brother and never. So it was never our tradition to have. As I was saying, it's not. I don't know. I guess I don't know, but it's not intact families.
Okay, you're breaking. You're going in and out, dear.
Okay, well I'm gonna mute up.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and we'll let DJ go. So because I don't want to. This is really like your point of view versus the way the world looks at things. You may or may not have heard of jumping the broom, right? This was a ceremony wherein which
Exactly.
people would be enslaved and they would still confess their love for each other, and they would marry each other, and they would have families. And in fact, during Reconstruction and during the Civil War, when people were separated inside the Freedmen's Bureau, they had lists so you could try to find your family, your wife, your children, etc. So whether or not we were allowed to get married because the system didn't allow for it and it wasn't documented, in fact, we did value the tradition of actually having an intact family. And I believe it was, I want to say in the 60s ish, where Black American families had the highest rates of marriage, intact families. So it actually is us going back to traditional values, because historically on the planet Earth, that was the traditional value, to be married and have an intact family, and not to progress towards demonic sexual deviancy, which is where they want to progress to. That is the liberal agenda. Just so we understand.
That is digression. That is degenerate behavior. So, are you allowing them to define your progress?
No, I think what's happening is.
Just a minute ago you said it was degenerate.
I think what's
happening. Which it is,
Right. I think what's happening is the Blue Devils use words, and shout out to Brother Moko. I know he can't wait to get into this language. They use words that are not defined clearly, so people attach their own meaning to the word. And then the confusion begins because we don't look at the definition from their point of view to understand what they're actually saying. And when they say progress, they're talking about all the things that you don't want to happen. That is how the Blue Devil operates. At least the Red Devil comes to you to your face and kind of makes it very plain and clear. the Blue Devil is deceptive in the way they use words, and they kind of understand that they can say hope and change, and we just attach whatever our hopes and dreams and change is, and they don't have to do any of it. And so that's where we're at. DJ, you got it.
Hey, could I ask you a question real quick before you pass it on? Because you made an important point that I would like to ask you about. Like you said, as global history, intact families, man, woman, and child is tradition. Global history. I agree with you 100%. But my question to you is, that's just like a man taking care of a woman. A man being the hunter is a part of tradition.
Yeah,
you know. But the thing is, what I'm saying, and like the woman staying at home and taking care of the family is tradition globally, right? But what I was saying, I don't flatten all traditions and saying it's our experience, which we was birthed out of Genesis of Black American. Okay. I was trying to ask a question though.
No, I know, but I guess
you gotta have patience. I mute up.
No, it's not even that, because we're having a conversation. So it's not even you have to mute up. We're having a fluid conversation. So I need you to hear what I'm about to say. The traditions of a family was a man and woman cohesively taking care of a home. PC, if you're going to send me emojis all night and you're not going to engage, go down to listener. I'm just not with it tonight. I really am not. So all I'm saying is that the ideology that a lot of us have, based off of whatever era you grew up in, some of it can also be misinterpret your perception, how your parents raised you, or it also can be misinformation that you're missing. Women did more than just actually be at home back then. That's tradition. And when I say that, people get mad, they get upset, they get angry because they don't read. They don't read.
I didn't even get angry. I don't even want to participate in the conversation. It's all right, sister.
It's not directed to you. I'm adding to the conversation because in your submission, you said
you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
I'm just talking about the piece that you were talking about. Not even the fact.
I mean, you honed in. That's like the media take a clip of what you say and misconstrue it because you didn't let me land my thoughts. I respect that. I even agree with you. I even agree with you about that they did more than just stay home. I was gonna drive in on that point, but you know, okay.
I'm not misconstrued it. That's why I wanted to slow you down and actually talk about what you're saying. Because again, I'm not the media. But what I do like to do is compartmentalize.
So what I was going to say is that I agree with you on, and that I was going to drive home that point, is that, in other cultures, it was a thing where that's why white women had to have the right to work. They wanted the right to work, fair pay, equal pay, et cetera, right? Because a lot of them were coddled. They did not have to go and work. A lot of them, especially if they were in a high class of white Americans, they could stay home. The women could stay home. That was actually their reality. And they was like, no, I want to go out and work. I want to, I don't want to have babies. It's more to me than just laying up making babies. I want to work, But what I was going to say before, and I'm glad you interjected, but what I was going to say is that was not the black tradition, right? The black tradition was, we wouldn't have to have movies like The Help, right? It was stay-at-home moms was a reality in Black America because, a lot of black women were sharecropping. The black man was sharecropping, his wife was sharecropping. They both got out there and they was either he made a meal and his wife cleaned up hotels or cleaned up behind white people. That was not our tradition. And all I was trying to say, I was to drag out that point, but I'm saying that as after slavery, our tradition like the brother said, jumping the broom. Yeah, we still respected families, respected marriage, and knew that that was a natural course, for us to, even as slaves who never experienced that because we were brought over here and bred in America, right? But we still knew that that was natural, man and woman being together, family unit, etc. But the government did not allow us to have that tradition. You can jump that broom and they'll sell your wife. After jumping that broom, the butler is a good example. They would rape your wife, and if you say you didn't even like it, he would shoot you down right there for even disagreeing. So it's like I don't think like intact families is a tradition. I believe we always struggle to try to keep our families intact, but I think the government, through government sanctioned atrocities like slavery and Jim Crow, they always have stepped in and tried to break up our families. And I think it's progress, not the tradition of our experience as being enslaved people in America, but it is progress if we can have 100% rate on black people getting married and staying together. That would be something that that would be progress. But I can be wrong. Hey, call me crazy, but that's just what I see as progress.
Okay. Yeah, we're not going to belabor it. Just know that if you're looking for progress from the Democrat Party, it's the opposite of what you want. That's all.
I never said that. I never said that I was a Democrat at all. I don't even. Okay.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Hey, Black. Hey, excuse me, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I just had a family emergency. And how you doing, Rella? Hello, DJ and Black and
Hey,
glad to be here today.
I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, everything's okay. Yeah. However, I probably have to go back out in about another hour. What? I was gonna say take the calls, but
no, that's fine.
Back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
we
got you. We understand.
Okay.
I hope everything is
I got you.
Good for you and your family, and we always appreciate you being there, of course. So you got a family's first. You got to take care of that, and then if you can make it back, great. But if not, we certainly understand.
Oh, you had an emergency here. Sorry, everybody's talking. Yeah, I hope everything's all right, brother. For sure. Respect. Yeah, I appreciate that, guy. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Did you want to go, DJ, or we go to Moko, brother Moko?
Just real quick report. Dearborn mayor calls for increased police in response to Wall Street Journal opinion piece about Dearborn, Michigan being the new jihad state. There you go.
Yeah, I did put that somewhere up there in the jumbotron. That is actually such an interesting story, man. Because there's a large Arab population in the Michigan, right around Detroit, and they've been growing, and it's the same demographic replacement as in Minnesota that's going on there. They worship the same creator, quote unquote, but I would assume that those two populations wouldn't necessarily get along. So yeah, there's actually we're inundated with immigrants that are coming here and getting into economic position and getting into political position, and so we're just going to be asked out. If you can fast forward this thing at this rate another 20 years, man, if you were to go to sleep and wake up 20 years from now, you would not recognize this country. It's very, very sad. So brother Moko, you got it.
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hey, Mo.
Hey, what's going on, Rella? What's going on, everybody?
I'm not to cut nobody.
I know that's right. I know I'm trying to deplete when I come down there. Yeah, I'm saying we're gonna stop there and send you to complete. But anyway, I'm gonna say
Yeah, words are very important. And I'm gonna make it short and sweet. I think we all can agree that all progress is saying is that the job is not done. The evidence of what progress is saying is showing that. So whenever I hear anything about progressive, we have made progress, all you saying is we have made the job not done. That's all you saying. Words are very important. We have to stop coming up with these homemade, holy type words. And what I mean by holy is all holes, you got all types of holes and vague sayings for definitions of this confusionary language of white supremacy. And to Black Majority's point, I just had space about victims being serious about silliness. We are very silly when it comes to using words like razors, like scalpel, okay, like surgical knife. We are really silly when it comes to upgrading our speech. Really, my BGQ is we're really silly when it comes to upgrading our thought, speech, and action, because those three things are connected to make a constructive result, the most constructive result. We have all the intelligencies, aka body parts. We made it through the vaginal canal with all of these intelligencies intact. And we still talking about, ain't nobody perfect. What the fuck do you mean? What are we saying? You know what I mean? Everybody that's not have a handicap, a physical, like a limb missing, an intelligency missing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about common sense. I'm talking about all your physical intelligencies. You're given that to solve problems. And guess what? More importantly, to find out the things that you don't know. So you don't have room to believe anything, aka not know. Okay? So I trust that we all are 100% serious about upgrading our speech. We should eliminate words like believe, hope, grace, progress from our vocabulary because they're very unconstructive, they're very confusionary, and to be totally clear, they're not actually totally clear when we use them in any conversation. I don't care what we're talking about. Racism, white supremacy still exists. Progress has never stopped racism, white supremacy. How can you say that, Brother Muko? Because the evidence of racism, white supremacy is here. It's in our face. We have the spaces about it. So it exists. So until we eliminate the system of racism, white supremacy, and replace it with a system of justice, guaranteeing that no one is ever, never harmed, and guaranteeing that whoever needs help gets the most constructive help. And that means whatever you need help with, you'll never need help with it again once you get the most constructive help. We still got work to do. And there's no time to celebrate, no time to even talk about a celebration of any kind. Not even your born day. You know what I'm saying? Because as long as the system of racism, white supremacy exists, ain't no such day as a born day. Ain't no such day as ain't no such thing as a celebration. Not while not while my children and my children's children's children lives are at stake. And hell, even the children in the womb, they hold the greatest risk. You know what I'm saying? Because they murdering them at Planned Parenthood, and then every hospital practicing medical apartheid, which is 100% of them. You know what I'm saying? They're still doing it to this day. So progressive, I have a real, I disagree with that. Nothing progressive, and it's definitely.
Do you like the word? Do you like the word content? Like, I guess if you don't like progress, you're content. It's a struggle to always make progress every day. That's just human nature. It's gonna be a fight. I think that's why we fit here. In nature you see the antelope is never content. He know he is being hunted, right, by the lion. So he is never content. He has to make progress. Long as you're here, and in the lion's point of view, he's gonna be hungry. He's gonna have to make progress. He's gonna have to eat. So he's not content. There's gonna have to be a fight to make things better all the time. That's why we're here. I'm just not a person who is content. If I always feel the need to do better. So VGQ, but I just outlook on things.
Well, no, I definitely appreciate you, BGK, and I hope that mine is constructive. But yeah, and I content. I don't know, and I don't really. It depends on how you use the word in the context, and in the context that you used it, or I think that was a question you was asking me. Am I content? No.
I was really saying if you don't feel your life needs any progress, you're content. And I'm not meaning directly that when I say you're content, I'm not talking about you. But say me, if I felt that my life did not need no progression, I would be a content person. I'm okay drinking a Pet Blue Ribbon and working at the lumber yard or whatever, or driving the truck. Right, I want to do better. I'm a company driver, right? But I'm not content with being a company driver. I want to do better. I'm doing good. I own a home, I own a few properties, and all my bills are paid, but I'm not content. I want to do better in life. I want to make progress in life.
Right, but when do you actually do better? And I think that's what...
Well, I think I'm doing better by owning multiple properties. I think I'm doing pretty well, but I'm just saying that it's not over with.
Duncan, again,
yes, ma'am.
Your perception of the term progress and what we're trying to point out is not necessarily the overarching conversation point of view. And I'm literally pointing something out to you. You're saying, I want to do better because you know you want to do better, right? And you're holding on to the thought of progression being your measuring stick, meaning that if every day you wake up, you do a little here, you do a little there, you execute something, even though you got 5 things on the list, but you executed one, that's progress to you, right? You needed to execute all 5. That's absolution. So all I think I'm hearing from Black and Brother Muko say is that the term progress in the context that you were using it, I didn't take it that that's what they were talking about, because the Democrats at the time emancipation was happening said emancipation, even though they didn't want it, to them was progress, right? Prior to Andrew Johnson and the assassination of Lincoln, that was progress. And then once the Democrats was kicked out of the Union, in order to come back, they had to actually agree to have an allegiance to the United States in order to be let back in. But they said, well, the Negro doesn't need anything else because they're free. That's progress. But that's not progress, because if the Negro was free after emancipation and they were harmed in and throughout slavery, and even after slavery, that's not progress. That is still harm. So I think what I'm hearing Brother Muko and Black literally say is that we keep falling into the trap of not understanding how the measurement of progress is being used by the people who are in authority towards us, not necessarily how we view progress, as in, we just going to buckle down and we just going to try to make it through the next day because, we just beat down to our socks and we lucky to make it through the next 5 hours. It's not the same thing. So when you look at difference of how people who are in positions of authority, who are controlling our measurement of repair, they consider half of us being repaired instead of the whole of us being prepared individually or as a collective group. That is a problem. That is a sure problem. And we have to be able to identify those types of things even in our, I think, speech. And that's what I'm also picking up from Brother Muko. And it's not an attack on anyone, your faith. It's not an attack on you as a person, but it's saying iron sharpens iron. And if there's something I'm not seeing, even in my good intentions, there's someone next to me that needs me to pick up what he's laying down in order for us to be able to survive. Do you understand that?
I would say what you said was excellent. And I want you to check out Dr. Naeem Akbar's speech he gave, lecture he gave. It's called Dr. Naeem Akbar. He gave what you said reminded me of something that he was talking about. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called Imaginary Freedom. But you all were saying like the same exact thing. So I'm on board with what you're talking about. But like I said, if you're not, I'm not playing the word game. It's just that it's just logical. If it's not progress, it's gonna be content. Contentment, and I'm not a content person. I believe, like I was saying, I think we just having a battle of words.
We're actually talking about, I think we're talking about, like, again, I think when we're having a conversation, we're not directing it towards you, the individual. It's generalized to say, okay, look at how our condition is and what was the contribution as a collective and getting to this condition, right? Were people literally voting all Democrat? Were they voting all Republican? Or were they involved at all? You have to be able to compartmentalize those things and look at what has contributed to that point. And it's not just you, the individual. It is what is causing our collective issue. We already know the main thing that we are always up against as far as the blue devil or the red devil or any of them, if we are not the collective in charge of our own repair, because we have a different language that we are speaking. I'm sorry, Muko, for jumping in. And I think we have to also be we have to be able to be free about or release our sacrifice ourselves in order to gain new knowledge. And sometimes that's hard to do because we do speak from an individual or self perspective. I do it too sometimes. So I'm just trying to make sure you understand that this is nothing targeted towards you per se.
No, I didn't take it personal. But if you get a chance, sister, I want you to check out Dr. Naeem Akbar, Imaginary Freedom, and remember what you said, right? Because you all are speaking the same, and I guarantee you would definitely appreciate checking that out. Again, that's Dr. Naeem Akbar, Imaginary Freedom.
Dr. Naeem Akbar, okay. Got it. Thank you. You got it, Muko.
Yeah, I appreciate both of y'all BBQs, you and Duncan. And I just wanted to hone in on something. Duncan, you were saying you're not playing the word game. You're right. You're not. The white supremacists are. You know what I'm saying? And that's why these conversations are valuable. You know what I'm saying? Your BBQ is valuable. You know what I'm saying? Because not only have you gained another understanding, we gained an understanding too. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like we learn from each other not to make progress. You said something that was profound. You said, I'm just a bus driver or whatever you said you were, a truck driver, right? And you was like, I'm not content with that. You're right. You know what I'm saying? When you said before you became a homeowner, right? You didn't own a home. You know what I mean? Making progress is saying that when you didn't have a home and you were speaking about owning a home, when you said, I'm making progress, all you were saying was, I don't have a home. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have a home now. I'm still trying to get a home. You feel what I'm saying? Once you became a homeowner, guess what? You weren't making progress no more. You actually obtained the goal. You know what I'm saying? And when you set a goal, hold on, check it out. When you set a goal, right, and you accomplish it, what does that equal? Success. So, brother, you were a success at becoming a homeowner. And you didn't just want to stop at owning one home, so you own many homes. You know what I'm saying? Every time you set a goal, you accomplish the goal. And so what you're actually doing at that point is making a habit of being successful. You feel me? See how the words change? That's why I said words are very important. You know what I mean? I don't know if he was in my last space, but I had a brother who took 3 words and made them the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It was who was it, baby? Equal justice and fair and equality. I said, bro, you taking white supremacy has us so set up that we're taking all these words and we're not just confusing each other, but we're getting in pointless arguments when we're actually saying the same thing. But because how white supremacy has this confusionary language set up, you know what I'm saying? We're actually just going in circles when we're all saying the same thing. You feel me? But in a different way with this confusionary ass language. What we're doing right now, all of us, even you included, Duncan, in this space, and I appreciate all y'all, Black Majority, everybody for their BGQs, which is so valuable. We are cutting through the bullshit. We're cutting through the confusion. Okay? That's what we're doing now. So now, we're not just, it ain't about, that unity part. That unity part is not just about saying the same thing like robots, but understanding in depth what we're all saying and understanding that even if I say it in a different way and Duncan come up here and use different words, we're saying the same exact thing, and what we're saying, you cannot poke air holes in. It's airtight. You can't misconstrue it. You can't confuse it. You feel me? And that's what being on code is. That's what happens when you make the code the leader. You feel me? Because see, one thing about the code being the leader, the code don't have no ego. You feel me? That's what failed in the past with making a man a leader. You feel me? The man got an ego, but the man also can be eliminated. And with the man being eliminated, we've seen in the past that has eliminated the plan. So we had Dr. Clark tell us, look, you buried a man and you continue to plan. What Dr. Clark was saying when he said that in 1995 in one of his last lectures that he gave when he was getting on Karanga and Farrakhan, telling the truth about them because he was there, okay? He was saying that when you have a code and you got not a leader, but you have a spokesman, okay? That's speaking for the collective, okay? If that spokesman happen to get murdered or eliminated or deleted, you bury that man, but you continue the plan, okay? That's being on code. What Dr. Clark was telling us was you make your code the leader. What code, Brother Muko? Who the fuck is the code? The gorgeous thing about it is the code ain't even a goddamn person. It is a set of codes that get you the absolute best constructive result. Now, get a white supremacist in the room and tell that motherfucker to kill a code. And look how confused he looked at when you make your code the leader. You feel me? So I just wanted to drop that. Thank y'all for y'all BGQs. Thank you for letting me speak, y'all.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm gonna play this video, something that we did play around the time of this election. Pretty sure this was the midterms where they got They got the majority of the Senate. They had the governors, and then they just they needed to get to that point. And this is what's so cool about state government. You only got to have one more than the other side, whatever that is. So I think it says 31-32 in their state Senate. So you just got to have one more vote and you can push through your agenda. So I'm going to play this clip, which is the news, local news there in Minnesota right after this happened. And so we could get an understanding of what they were trying to do. And I appreciate what Moko said, because he's really on point. It really is all about us just understanding each other. And so that's the most important part of it all. So here we go. This is about 4 minutes long.
Minnesota Democrats, anything's possible come January after voters gave them a trifecta, full control at the state capitol.
The wish list is long, from marijuana legalization to school funding to paid family leave. So what's going to happen? Political reporter Theo Keith went straight to the decision makers to ask.
It's the first time in a decade that either party has had control of the Capitol, but Democrats are walking a tightrope. In the Senate, just one member saying no would stop an issue in its tracks. Talk with the top Democrats in the House and Senate, and you'll notice a difference. Speaker Melissa Hortman appears confident, having been in charge the past 4 years. Incoming Senate Majority Leader Carrie Dietzig is cautious, not yet sure where her members stand. Take legalizing marijuana.
We passed that bill under our old majority, and I expect that we'll pass that bill with our new majority.
Again, we're a new caucus. We're going to have those conversations.
Dietzig responded to several topics that way.
We have a slim majority, so we're going to have open and honest, transparent conversations among ourselves and have conversations with Minnesotans.
The wish lists of progressive groups and DFL lawmakers alike is long after 4 years of split party control. Priorities include school funding, climate programs, housing aid, abortion rights.
Okay, in the Matrix. God dang it. Okay, I'll drop out, drop back in. Only on Twitter do you go into the Matrix. Only on Twitter do you fall into the Matrix.
Yeah, the great one. We'll bring you up in 10 minutes, fam. You know what I'm saying? After we play this video, because it's only 11 o'clock, and I know you ain't saucy as right now. No? So sit tight down there, just gonna hang out and just, you know what I mean? All right, we're gonna bring you up just to say what's up, but we're gonna put you back in the queue. What's going on, Dom?
No, I'm here, dude.
I know. It's good. West side in the building, knocking on. How your Saturday going, bro? Good. All right.
No, I gotta listen to my people. My people's talking. You know what I mean? Everybody's saying the worst on this space. So I just had to chime in and just say, like, hey, yo, keep it up. Let's go. Let's go. We need to hear it.
Hey, what you think the 49ers going to do against the Kansas City boys? They going to win?
Well, number one, I'm from West Coast for real, 49ers. You know what's going down. You know what's going down.
Hey, I went to a Canada Drive versus a Bud Light that Kansas City taking it.
How about they do that?
You don't want that Pepsi challenge.
But on the real, it's 49ers. If you against it, fuck y'all.
My mind, because I'm a Giants fan. So.
Your Giants ain't never gonna win.
Hey, it's all good, yo. You know what I mean? But we do got some shit.
No,
got nothing.
Your Giants say that's like saying the Jets. So the Jets gonna win,
but now the Giants won in the last decade. We won in 2012. Let's go, son.
That was a fluke. That was a fluke.
I
just put a video on the Jumbotron, right? I want all y'all to look at this, right? And before y'all look at it, I want to say this. Some people will call this video progress. I want y'all to look at it and y'all thoughts while Black Majority get this connection right.
Yeah, I'm here. If I was still in the sports, I would look for the prop bet that says they're going to show Joe Montana somewhere during this Super Bowl, because those are his two ex teams.
Joe Montana is the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Look at this. I'm a 49er fan, so I'm going to go all in. He's the best quarterback of all time. Fuck Tom Brady.
Bradshaw did it first. Tell him why you mad, Black. Tell him why you mad. Still again.
No, nigga, fuck Bradshaw, nigga. I have to get Joe Montana, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Oh my God, I got his picture. For
Okay. Let me finish this video. We got 3 minutes left to go, and understand this. This when this first happened, it was a clear example of what we can do as a black majority state caucus party, whatever you want to call it. Once we got into position of having the governorship and both houses of the state legislature, you can write your legislation and pass it, and nobody can stop it. All you need to do is have a majority of the votes.
We're going to have open and honest, transparent conversations among ourselves and have conversations with Minnesotans.
The wish list of progressive groups and DFL lawmakers alike is long after 4 years of split party control. Priorities
I got to drop him back down.
include school funding.
Bring some beers too, bro.
So we're going to have open and honest, transparent conversations among ourselves and have conversations with Minnesotans.
The wish list of progressive groups and DFL lawmakers alike is long after 4 years of split party control. Priorities include school funding, climate programs, housing aid, abortion rights, gun control measures, and paid family leave. Both Hortman and Dietzig are promising productivity while trying to manage expectations.
There are a lot of incredible things that we will be able to do. We won't be able to do everything that everybody wants to do. I think there are different entities that have spent the surplus, several times over.
For clues on what could happen this time, we look back 10 years to the last time the DFL had the trifecta. Amid a budget deficit, they raised income taxes on the highest earners, and they legalized gay marriage.
We do hereby declare that Margaret and Kathy are legally married.
Other issues proved trickier. The top Senate Democrat during that time, Tom Bach, recalls how it took more than a year to boost the statewide minimum wage, even though Democrats had a bigger majority.
With 39 doing something that I think everybody thought we should do was still hard. And I can only imagine with 34.
This year, Bach expects Democrats will have to narrow their wish list to keep their members together.
Some of the progressives will be a little bit disappointed. The agenda is going to be smaller than I think people probably hope it's going to be, because holding 34 together is pretty tough.
With no margin, individual lawmakers hold more power. Consider Congress. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin single-handedly held up much of Democrats' agenda this past year, requiring changes before casting his deciding vote.
The good thing that they have going for them in a budget year is a lot of money.
Yet Jeff Hayden, a lobbyist and former state senator, says this year's budget surplus, likely to be in the billions of dollars, also comes with drawbacks.
You're going to have a lot of groups, special interests and otherwise, that are going to say, hey, we helped you get elected, and now you owe us to be able to get what it is that they want done. That's what we felt a lot of back when we had the trifecta before.
As Democrats learned in 2014, the trifecta isn't guaranteed to last. Republicans will be waiting.
We'll see how they do, but I suspect they're going to continue to advocate for the ideas that they have in the past, and that those things are going to prove to be not very popular when we get to the next election.
The last question I put to both DFL leaders: were they ready to make this guarantee?
Are you going to get the budget done without a special session?
That's the goal. That's the plan.
I believe we will, but I think it's really important in politics to underpromise and overdeliver, and I think people should be clear that just because we have Democratic control doesn't mean there's not still a lot of things to disagree about.
The session starts January 3rd. At the Capitol, Theo Keith, Fox 9.
Okay, so I put a couple of posts down there that kind of talked about some of the things they wanted to do, and they did kind of touch on some of that stuff. You know, gay rights. I actually posted something, I think, in the Jumbotron where, and I'm not sure if that's a woman or a trans person. I can't, and I'm not trying to be funny. It's just hard to tell. But they put forth a bill that would basically decriminalize pedophilia in that state. And so they got a lot of things that are going on that are anti-Black American. Again, if we're 40, if we're 60% of the population, probably 50% of the Black population, then it's only a couple 100,000 of us there, and a lot of what these blue devils want to do, because they're essentially Democrat socialists, involve a lot of things that would create an environment that would cause harm to the Black family, or not necessarily pro-Black male in any way, shape, or form. And then they have this population of others that, to be perfectly honest, have already proven that they are here to displace and replace and eventually erase us. So also in the Jumbotron in Minnesota, because I think this is something that is really, really important to understand. There was a woman who was elected to some small town outside of Minneapolis, and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. Well, she's the first Somali to be elected to mayorship. It is a big deal, actually. It's actually a huge deal. And then four others, I think it's three women and a male, have been elected to the state senate or state government. Now the gentleman at the end, you could probably tell he had a Black voice. He was a former state rep in Minnesota. So I don't know what happened to him, why he's no longer still hold that seat. But I mean, I don't think it's hard to figure out if you have Somalis now getting state seats, and this Black guy who was in state government is no longer there. You know, I'd have to do a whole lot of deep digging to figure out if there's a real connection there. But just on the surface, anytime another group comes in and they start winning elections, it's likely because you don't have the numbers anymore to get your people into these positions. So let me pull that up because I think it's important to have that. Now, there is a Black gentleman elder who's running against Ilhan Omar, Don Samuels, in the last primary. I think he only lost, I think it was only like 2,500 votes. It was a very close primary. He was like the second runner-up in it. So she is vulnerable. There were a couple people in it that took some votes, maybe like 1,500 or whatever. And then, of course, in the general election, twice as many people vote. So there's definitely enough votes in that district for him to win, to unseat her and replace her. He's just got to really get out and work like 10 times harder to actually make that happen. But here's the post up here. It said Minnesota's ground zero for the diasporan takeover. This is from November. 50 years ago, lawmakers in Washington opened the doors to immigrants from Africa. African immigrants are changing the Minnesota political landscape at a pace never seen before. At a pace never seen before. So this was the 2022 midterm. This woman is, it says, Erin May Quad is one of three Black women who made history Thursday when they were elected to the Minnesota Senate. No Black women have served in the state Senate in 164 years of statehood. Now, if you open up this picture and you see this person, clearly this is not a Black woman. They're you know, the flat Blackness, the displacement erasement is on full tilt in this situation. Zainab Mohammed is one of three Black women who made history on Tuesday. Again, no Black woman in huge quotations because she's obviously Somalian. And then this lady, Claire Umau Verbetten, it's hard to tell what she is, to be quite honest. I mean, based on the middle name, that sounds very African. The last name sounds like she might have married into whiteness. It's hard to tell what the hell is going on there. And then this guy who Omar Fateh, who was running for elected office and won in Minnesota. So this is a problem. And, you know, like, again, I think if we just kind of sit around and not recognize it for what it is, not recognize the problem, not see it as a problem, not react to it as a problem, not get hyper vigilant about the problem, then we're just going to sit back and watch ourselves in Minnesota, in Michigan, we got Mark Carter in Illinois. We're going to see ourselves reduced down to this hyper minority population, and we're never going to be able to get back up. I think some of these states are beyond the point of correction, and we got to make a very quick and decisive decision. And yes, I have an agenda, and yes, it's about ethno-aggregation, and yes, it's about reverse migration, and yes, it's about getting state authority. And you got to look at the most vulnerable populations where we just don't have a chance anymore. And in a state like Minnesota and Wisconsin, we really don't have a chance in those two states. And we got to make a decision now, because within a decade, it's going to be too late. They've been hyper accelerating these demographic shifts in these states, and we got to do something about it. So yeah, we got the brother Mark. If you want to jump in, if not, I'll keep going. The title.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that it would be a hard thing or a hard sell, should I say, when they see the handwriting on the wall. But we got a very hard head. We are very hard head people. Selfish too. And don't give a damn when you see it happen to somebody across the country. You know, it's all about, well, that's them over there. Well, what make you think it's not going to happen to you over here? That's why I cannot have a conversation about reparations without bringing up immigration. That's impossible to do. The resources are either going to go to one group and leave out the other, or vice versa. It is what it is. And all this compromising for personal gain, come on, man. What is it going to take? And then on top of that, you have our people who care more about their little issue-based community, whether they gay or they women or so-called elites. They'll take that shit and put it in front of the entire black agenda. Okay, so let's say you get your woman's and your gay rights and your elitist rights. But if you're still homeless, what did you actually win?
Nothing.
And that's what you can say. That's exactly what happened to those in California.
Man.
They went along with the liberal, progressive Democrat Party, and because it means more to them to have their women's rights, their gay rights, and their little elitist little shit and they end up homeless too. And too ashamed to tell the people that they're homeless. So they moved upstate or out of state. But like you're saying, look at Minnesota, y'all. Man, if you think this shit a joke, you think that this is just take a trip to those places. If y'all think that you got some Pan-Africanist relationship with these Haitians or these Cubans and shit down in Florida, they telling you what they own. They telling you in New York that they have Cuban months and all this type of shit. What do you think? What do you think they're saying when they tell you that? That's equivalent to you making yourself believe that the person that you were with is still your mate, and you see him with somebody else, and you keep telling yourself, No, that's it's not really like that. The motherfucker ain't with you no more.
Mm.
In this case, they were never with you.
Mm.
What part don't you get? Let me say this. Take California, for example, where you got them black folks fighting for reparations. But while they fighting for reparations or doing all this task force meeting and shit, these people are moving in all of the political positions.
Mm.
They're moving in all of the storefronts and businesses where you would take your reparations and start a business. There's no places for you to open up businesses. They're living in your home, the homes that you had.
Mm.
What is it going to take for you to see that you're being replaced?
Man, what is it going to take, bro? What is
that
it
you
gonna
running
take?
around here pontificating and want to be the smartest motherfucker in the room
What is
while
it
these
gonna
people, while these dumbass people,
Mm.
and I'm being sarcastic, while these dumbass Mexicans
Mm.
are populating the areas. You think they're going to spend their money with you?
Mm.
You think they're going to frequent your businesses? Hell no.
Mm.
They didn't come here to do that. They came here to replace your ass.
Mm.
And you saying it right, bro. If we don't stop it now, you will never get it back.
Never get it back, bro.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, you'll never get it back. Compton and Watson, you'll never get it back.
Mm.
Places in New York, Florida, you're never going to get those places back. I don't give a shit how much education your stupid ass go and get and think that's going to make you qualified. Your dumb ass will never get the places that your foreparents fought for and built up for your family. You will never get it back because only you believe in BIPOC and people of color and minority and DEI. Don't nobody else believe in that shit. They use that shit to get ahead. They use that shit to get out on your dumb ass. And I'm saying this, man, because it's enough. You know, we passed that point of trying to nicely say this shit to a bunch of dumbass people that raise hell with one another. But when it comes to these other groups, you want to be sympathetic toward them. Fuck all these backwards fools, man.
Yeah, so let me jump in right there. So I'm for the space so people understand this African Somali posted this just about a month and a half ago, and the post says, "Long live the great replacement," followed by 5 Somali flags and a picture of the state of Minnesota with the Somali flag covering the state of Minnesota. He also posted this: "There is power with numbers, breed like rats, and establish global dominance. Inshallah, the 21st century will see the great rise of Islam." Then he says, "My message to Europeans that think they are Americans, go back to your country. This land is Somali now," with a Somali flag. "Soon Minnesota will be the first state to make Somali the official language." And this is somebody that the great Elon Omar is linked to. This is her clan. This is how these people feel. This is what they are telling you.
But didn't the Mexicans in California say the same thing without saying it?
They've been saying reconquista of their homeland for decades.
Exactly. And you know what them dumbass black people were saying? Well, it used to belong to them, and so America. You know, man, I had a lady. I told her, man, look, I'm not doing no fucking interview with you. This dumb idiot told me when I made mention of the move that those Mexicans were making out in California. She said to me, "Well, America stepped on Mexico. Mexico is not stepping on America." I said, "Well, why don't you give them your house and everything else, your family and all that? What the fuck is wrong with y'all?" But this is the type of dumb shit that we hear come out of the mouths. That's why it was so easy for them to take California. Those parts in California. Those idiots didn't see nothing wrong with it. Just like the ones in New York with this exotic pussy and exotic dick that they was chasing in the 90s. You see what that shit got their ass. replaced. They didn't give a damn if they were having children by y'all ass. They done left kids in the country they came from. You think they give a fuck about the ones they make with you over here? And then because the children are so brainwashed and want to be a part of something different other than Black American, they're going to align with that side. They're going to align with the immigrant side. Man, we better wake the fuck up. We better wake the fuck, bro. And I'm going to say this for us is those are conscious that are up in age. Look, bro, let's do like the military. Let's children. Fuck these motherfuckers our age, man. They ain't got no motherfucking sense. They want to argue about everything. Man, let's talk to these young people, man. Because the young people 20 years from now going to have to take care of their dumb ass anyway. So talk to their children, man. Stop wasting your time talking to people. Most people over 40 are some dumb motherfuckers, man. See the handwriting on the wall and still doing the same shit. Working all week, getting drunk on the weekends, going to church, and then go right back to doing the same dumbass shit beginning the next week. Don't get involved with nothing, but always got something to say. Fuck these old fools, man. Shit, talk to these children, man.
Yeah, so the fear and the hesitation, and I'm in spaces, I get people responding in the comments, and it's like, everything's gonna be okay. We powerful people, and I get that. I understand the desire to want to say that out loud, but the reality doesn't match up with that statement. And I think this is like, I think it actually is counterproductive to keep saying we are the powerful people when we don't control anything. Because if you keep saying that and you keep telling your mind that and you keep telling your spirit that you are the most powerful people here, but everything around you doesn't align with that, it doesn't match up, you're living in an alternate universe. And I think this is what
you live in a goddamn lie. Don't make it complex. These niggas live a lie. Just like them Jews was up there too. See, them Jews, they hated black folks so much that they helped empower them goddamn Somalis.
Whew.
And now them Somalis are rerouted and stepped on their ass too. They smart ass.
Whew.
They got that black man that was in position with his coward ass. They had him to step down to make way for Ilhan Omar.
Damn. See? Wow.
See, this is all the shit they're not gonna tell y'all. They're too ashamed to say that they some fucking cowards. And that's what these universities do to most of these fools. They go in there and get all watered down and then come home questioning their parents and grandparents and shit. Man, get the fuck out of here, man. Hey, bro, that wrecking ball is coming.
Oh, it's coming.
And it's not like they don't have examples of what's gonna happen to them. You got examples already. So I'm all this trying to be cordial with our people. No, man, look, bro, treat these idiot motherfuckers the way they need to be treated, with no fucking respect. Don't talk. Stop being nice to them. They always got some smart ass shit to say. Shit. Stupid ass gay ass niggas know them fucking them gay white folks don't respect nor accept them with that damn LGBT movement. The same thing go for y'all as women too. Y'all know them feminists don't respect y'all ass. And you talking about you a womanist. You ain't nothing but a chocolate covered motherfucking feminist. You pushing the same shit. And these so-called elitist black men, the same shit. Man, take the gloves off on these motherfuckers, bro. It's politically correct bullshit. All you want to do is be an intellectual. Why you get wiped the fuck out? Why I did it the right way, and I went to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale. So did the monkey, motherfucker.
Yeah, so in California, you got Rep. Maxine Waters, who's co-signing and promoting a Mexican to state assembly, instead of promoting one of her own in the state of California. You got Nina Turner, who's a political activist, agent, whatever. She's going against a Wall Street Journal headline that says, "Welcome to Dearborn, America's jihad capital." And that is not a controversial statement when you got all these Arabs living in that area. And yet, and still, she's going against the reality of the situation in a historically Black area.
But Black, that's Nina Turner's. That's Nina Turner's MO. When we were on William Somerville's campaign, she asked him to host her, and in return, she's supposed to endorse him, so that way, that would help to push his numbers, so he could get the votes for the county in California. And what she ended up doing was she ended up endorsing his opponent, which was the Latina woman who was literally destroying the community, and even destroying the people around her that are also Latino. And she ended up promoting her. This was during the campaign. He was getting death threats and everything. And he couldn't say anything, but we did. So Nina Turner has always been that way. I could see her doing that. She's been doing that.
Yeah, and so this is the problem, is that in respect to those who say the code, quote unquote, is the leader, we know we don't have any leaders in these political parties, but the code is not telling us that we need to really get active, we need to get defensive, we need to get prepared, we need to ethno-aggregate, we need to come together so that we have some authority. And we have the ability to write our own legislation. We have the ability to defend our population. We have the ability to educate our children. We have ability to clean up the streets. We need to have the authority to do all the things that we need for our population. And while we're being demographically displaced and replaced and eventually erased, we're just kind of sitting around like sitting ducks, as if it's not actually happening, to Mark Carter's point, because we've bought into this idea of these coalitions. We've been really, Jesse Jackson, the Rainbow Coalition, which goes back to the 80s, really kind of set us in that mind state, and we haven't been able to break from it, even when we see active aggression from these different groups towards our population. We still just ignore it or accept it as if, oh, they're Black people. This is just the normal Black on Black, whatever you want to call it. But it's not. It's something that's completely and totally and utterly different. And we just don't recognize it, unfortunately. Black American Homeland, did you want to go? And then DJ after that.
Yeah, I was going to say, how you doing, Mark? Carter, yeah, I heard you speaking yesterday in, what's that guy's name? The actor. And, there in Washington, and that was pretty good. Yeah. Look, you know what? I was looking at the statistics, right, of Minnesota, right, and the number of Somalis living in the United States is less than 200,000. I thought it was much more than that, but they have 200,000. I thought it was more like 1 billion, but they got 200,000 here. And they say in the state of Minnesota, there's about 100,000. So they're saying there's 100,000 Somalis living in the state of Minnesota and 200,000 living in the United States. I think it's much more than that, but that's their numbers.
So you got 40 million Native Black Americans, and we going against 200,000 Somalis. And I know there's at least 1 million to 1.5 million Nigerians. So that's what we're going up against. And look, with being 40 million Black Americans, we should be able to control these people. We should be able to convey our agenda and the policy to these people, and these people have to toe our, the total line of our agendas and policy. We should be able to do that. And that's where I stand. Of course they're gonna try to to support their community, but if they want anything from the Native Black community, they have to be able to cooperate with us. So I land there.
Okay, so let me say this on the numbers. Nationally, we can't get the power unless we have full control over several states, and we have loyal representation in the federal government that is held accountable by the majority Black states, that they can't go rogue, and if they do, we simply either work to censor them, figure out a way to get them impeached, and or just ride it out until it's time for the next election. The good thing in the U.S. Congress, it's every 2 years. So if someone goes rogue, they got a very short time period. The Senate is a little different, 6 years. That's a different thing. However, we would do everything we could to box them in as a rogue agent and make it very clear that they no longer really represent us because they are not maintaining the agenda that we sent them to Congress for. And we probably need to figure out a way to get them out of the paint. But just saying we got 50 million Black people and there's only 200,000 of these people doesn't really matter when they're in a state where they are.
Exactly. I don't think he understanding that. They concentrate. I do understand it. I do understand it. I do comparison based on the whole versus them being in that state and in those cities. See, they concentrate themselves because they know that their numbers are not that great, right? So they concentrate and they start taking over, and then they expand out.
That's what it is.
This is how a smart group of people move. You see them doing it. And so they're not trying to take over the whole country on the front end. Let's stop talking about the 4 million of us. No, let's talk about concentrating us in certain areas, and then we do the same exact thing, which you see the Hispanics doing in California. They're picking up areas. This is what I've been advocating
every Saturday. And every Saturday. Before all the other conversations started happening, every Saturday we've been here having this conversation.
Well, I never been Mark. And what else?
I invited you, Mark.
I'm just saying I've never been. When I'm pointing out, Mark, that you got 200,000 Somalis, right? And that 200,000 have a lot of power. So if we have 40 million Native Black Americans, just imagine what power we can control or have. If we can concentrate our population to the South, Georgia, Delaware, Maryland, North Carolina, Louisiana. I've been here for 20 years.
Black American homeland, and I agree with that, as we always have. But I just don't agree that we should also still allow the Somali population to continue to occupy a state. No immigrant should be able to be in any office in the United States. That shouldn't even be a thing. That should not be a thing. They should not have no control. They should have.
These motherfuckers are refugees, and you let them come here and.
But that's what I'm saying. No, we are not letting them come here. It's other people who are in public office who came here as immigrants, as they always tell us when they get on TV. I was an immigrant when I came here. I got my citizenship. I went through citizenship, and now I am in a position of power. There's a Republican woman who was I think she was at a hearing. I posted it on my page, and Barbara Lee was talking, and she was mad at Barbara Lee because Barbara Lee was telling her, trying to petition something about Cuba, and the woman was like, Castro, and this is a Republican. She's some other Spanish woman. She's in a position of authority, telling people that they got to she was kicking people out of the hearing, and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, there should not be a thing in the United States that you could serve in any capacity in the United States and you are not a descendant of this country. I don't care about the wars, about what happened. We can talk about history all day long, as I'm always going to do that. But I'm never going to say, oh, guess what? You came here on a B1 visa, HB1 visa, or by way and went through citizenship, and you should have controlling population in any state over Americans, and then they're giving refugees now positions in the military in exchange for citizenship.
No, they're making them police. They're making them police.
That too. Over us, though.
In California, Illinois, and all
over us, because New York is they're arguing about whether or not they should give them guns. I'm like, I cannot.
But see, it boils down to now. Well, y'all got to do what we doing in Chicago. Y'all got to run y'all own. Look, whatever. Our people in power all over this country. All this talking about black people don't have no power, that's bullshit. These black people in Chicago and in the state of Illinois got power. The people in Atlanta, Georgia got power. The ones in Memphis, Tennessee got power. They just don't use it for us. And for that reason, y'all have to overthrow them. I don't give a fuck if they're part of your fraternities, sororities, your church, your family. Fuck them. Overthrow them. Or you're going to suffer the consequences. Your children are going to suffer the consequences. It's worse than being an illegal immigrant. These people are refugees that were pushed out of their own country because of their own actions, and then come here and allowed to be elected officials who then are going to push against us as black people and overall us as Americans. Are we fucking dumb?
Hey, Mark, this is the thing, right? Black Americans, Native Black Americans, we are voting those people in. Look,
that's what I just said to you. The black guy, let the Jewish guys have him to move out of the place and out of the position, because he was going to be either the congressman or the mayor. One of those positions he was supposed to be in, and he allowed the Jewish interest there to have him to step out in terms of the Democrat Party. And now they'll never get the place back. But then this came and slapped the Jewish people in the face as well, because the Somalis crossed them too. And so if those are not examples enough for us, I don't know what the hell it's going to take. I was just in a room with a bunch of America First Republicans that I would say that they are. And the first thing I had to tell the guy with the room was, hey, don't you ever forget our people, along with the rest of America, freed your motherfucking ass from Hitler now. So that arrogance you coming with, you know what I'm saying? Man, pump your brakes, man. Let your hair out of you. Stop talking. You ain't talking to any black people that let you come in with that Jewish shit, and then when you challenge you're anti-Semitic. Sit your ass down.
We made people that then led into everything else. Huh? Look at this, Mark. Check this out. Jewish people are 7 million. There's 7 million Jewish people in the United States, and they're represented in the Senate.
Everything.
They're overrepresented in the Congress.
Everything. Bro.
Federal judges.
Everything.
The Supreme Court.
Every fucking thing. They
overrepresent themselves in certain positions, like you're saying. Right. And I think they're. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. No. The problem is more so our people and these other America First ones who think that we still 50, 60 years ago. You know, when I hear people say white supremacy, do you all know that they're not all the same people? And that point was made in a room that I'm telling y'all. They made it clear, hey man, we're not all the same people. See, y'all call them white. They don't call themselves white. Right? And I say y'all because I'm very clear. I live in a segregated city. I know that they're not the same people. They don't vote together. They don't like one another.
Red devil, blue
and
devil.
They will not come together.
Red devil, blue devil.
When shit happens. Right. So stop listening to these old talking points from these old ass people that ain't gonna come together and do shit no damn way.
And the part is though, and also the Nigerians that took over a certain portion of Houston, Texas, as well too. So, like you said, they centered themselves in one concentrated area and ain't taking over. So, a lot of our people being tricked on this Pan-Africanism shit. We've been listening to the Pan-Africanists and the Boule about these people are our people. They have the same skin color as us. That's been
old ideology is what you all as young people are listening to. I stand in the middle. I'm a half of 100 years old, right? I'm in the middle, and I'm telling y'all.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Shout out to the
so-called Pan-Africanists. These are the very ones been selling us the fuck out.
To mid-century.
I don't want to hear shit from no Pan-Africanists when I know for a fact that those movements are funded by the very people who has worked against the interests of our people.
And right, and also there is no Caribbean or African organization that do anything for Black Americans. They don't do nothing. Once they get resources and certain power in this country, the African and Caribbean immigrants organizations, they don't advocate no resources to build our communities. Though that's why I told my people stop supporting these African braided shops, these Jamaican restaurants, because they don't spend no money.
How do you think they got in this country? Do you know how they got in this country?
How?
Immigration Act? No, through the Immigration Act, but I'm saying to you, it was our parents' generation, not our grandparents, our parents
advocate
during the 60s that were fighting to bring these people into this country along with them Jews. See, them Jews and these so-called black elite motherfuckers, these are the ones who work together. They've been together all the time undermining us. All right? See, I'm going to say the shit that most people ain't going to say because I don't give a fuck. I'm not trying to be friends with no motherfucker. I was born to be the bad guy. And I'm telling y'all that these people have been working to bring these other groups in here to undermine us. And if y'all that are young, if y'all don't stand up for y'all future, your ass going to end up homeless. Listening to some of your parents' generation and listening to some of my parents' generation. These motherfuckers gonna sell y'all that old ass rhetoric that hurt themselves on top of hurting those that were to come after them. And I'm speaking on my generation, who's now the mothers and fathers of America. Fuck them if they're not speaking up for y'all. I don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm not cool with them either.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Mark, Porter, because this immigration stuff, especially because a lot of our people thought, because we listened to our grandparents and our parents believe that somebody that come that the same skin color as us the same. But a lot of people, I've been to a lot of these African countries, some of the Caribbean countries. See, you go to a lot of these African countries, they're very tribalistic over here. And the white supremacists in America, they know how tribalistic them Africans are. Like, they know Somalia is a war-torn third world country, though. Like, them Africans, them Somalis, they going at it against each other right now in Somalia. Like, you got all the Somali clans and tribes over there. They going at it every day over there. Plus, you got the El Shabaab over there. So, a lot of them Somalis, they seek refugee status in Kenya. Then once they go to Kenya, they go to either Europe or the U.S. or Canada somewhere.
And there's war in Ethiopia as well.
It sure is a war in Ethiopia, right, between TPLF and the TPLF and the Romos joined the alliance to go against the Mark people, though. So it's a whole civil war going on in Ethiopia right now. Same thing in Sudan and the Congo and Nigeria. It's a civil war going on in Nigeria right now between North and the South, though. Northern Nigerians are the Fulanis and the Hausas. They turn up the Igbos and the Yorubas. Actually, it's so bad over here in Nigeria is that they eat the Fulanis and the Hausas. Northern Nigeria taking over some of the Igbos in the Yoruba territory of southern Nigeria. A lot of them Igbos, Yorubas seek refugees in Europe.
Where's that beeping noise? Was that your background?
Not me.
No, that's the guy, Black Vanguard. That's him. That's his.
I'm having some headphones on.
Yeah, that's what we hearing then.
It's we getting feedback. It's like a loud whistling noise.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, no. Hey, no what?
You just on those headphones and they just giving feedback.
Hey, you know what? I traveled to 10 African countries from 1994 to 96, right? And I was in South Africa. I went to Angola, been to Mozambique, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and these are beautiful countries, right? And I saw a lot of opportunity there. However, what really made me frustrated about these African countries were the tribalism, right? You got one tribe that controls the national government, right? And what they try to subjugate the other tribes, right? If you are a smaller tribe, you're going to be discriminated by the biggest tribe that controls everything, in that country, right? So that really shocked me when I saw that.
No. It shouldn't shock you because they're doing the same thing here. It's called classism.
Well, yeah, but look, I'm 20. In 1990, when I went to South Africa, I was 20. I'm 58 now. I've been there.
I've been in Africa. I've been to like 11 different.
Right. When I was there, I was in my mid-late 20s, and you had this thing about Pan-Africanism. That so my thing was that I thought the way I was saying is that Black Americans should leave the United States and move to Africa. That's the way I was thinking back in 93, 94, 95, 96. However, my observation, living, working, I worked there.
Let's focus on the mission at hand. Mission at hand.
Had apartments, had a bank account,
drill down.
Businesses, did all those things, right? But I discovered that, hey, Freddie, I'm not going to be able to live here because these people are extremely, what's that word I'm looking for?
Tribalistic.
Yeah, tribalistic, and they and really corrupt. They're extremely corrupt.
Oh yeah, it's real corrupt out there. I've been in Africa. I've been to a lot of African countries too. I haven't been to Zimbabwe though, but I've been to South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Rwanda. I've been all over Africa too, and the Caribbean. So they don't get along with each other over there in Africa. In South Africa, they don't like each other over there too. You got tribal differences between the Zulu tribe and the Hausa tribe over there. They try to make it seem like in South Africa, though, there's no tribalism. Tribalism exists over in South Africa, especially between the Zulu tribe over there and the Hausa tribe over there in South Africa. Then they don't like us Africans over there.
No, I was trying to let you finish. Let him land his fire, Vanguard.
Yeah, man, I forget what I was going to say. Well,
you were saying that you changed your mind. What changed your mind?
Oh, right.
seeing observing the tribalism in Africa, that's when I changed my perception and say, okay, it's not a good thing for Black Americans to come to Africa, because if Black Americans come here, they're going to be used and abused. They know we got money, right? They're going to take our money. If we try to buy land, they're going to, this corruption, right? They're going to take your land. If you start a business, they're going to take your business, right? So I didn't trust them at all, right? I didn't trust them. So by 1996, I was over trying to live and do business in Africa. It was just it was very disappointing, very disheartening, and I haven't been to Africa since. So yeah, but I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe, I've been to 30 countries on 5 different continents, and that's my experience, and yeah, I'm in there.
Thanks for that submission. We got LaShonda. Ms. Owens, how are you?
I'm great. Peace and blessings to the room. I just want to touch on some things. I grew up in Memphis. I live in Mississippi now, and I have a son that lives in Minnesota. And right now he is in Brooklyn Park and trying to move back to Bloomington. And I witnessed with my own eyes the Somali gangs. They're very violent, very aggressive, very in your face.
Wow.
And I was explaining to him,
wow,
that is how they're taking over and saturating areas. They come in,
wow,
the youth cause so many problems that
damn,
the Americans move away.
wow.
So when they get the majority in
Wow.
that area, they vote in their representation.
That's it,
and like
man.
you said, it should be illegal. It should not be right for them to hold office of any level if you were not born here in the US of A.
Man.
So that's another thing that they use. They use chaos to move people out, to take over, to get their people to hold alderman seats, city council seats, state rep seats.
Wow.
It's a plan.
It's
So
a fucking plan.
I understand he has a wife and a little girl. You keep your family safe.
It's a plan.
But if they move to Bloomington, where he's going to be at, don't keep running, because they're going to take over like locusts. They're just going to eat up everything that's there.
Man, that is the fucking word. Locusts. They're like locusts.
And
they're
as
like
far
locusts.
as it goes with Memphis, Tennessee, everybody knows Memphis is 64% black. It's almost 500,000 black people in Memphis. It's about roughly 140,000 whites in Memphis. Their city council full of black people. However, they've been there so long, they're complacent. They get their check, and they have no interest in the black community. So now that's another problem. So what do? Just because you vote for president, it doesn't stop there. Every 2 years, you vote them out. Get your representation in there. They have different neighborhoods that does this reconstruction. And I grew up in a neighborhood called Whitehaven. A lot of people don't know that, but if you know Elvis Presley, he lived in his house was in Whitehaven. And on this reconstruction committee, the chairman was a white person. I'm like, what? Say what? No, and I found this out weeks ago. We fought it, got him out of there. Whitehaven is no longer white. If you live in Memphis, you call Whitehaven Blackhaven. So why are you? Just like their reparations committee, which I don't think you need one to study, because anybody with a half a brain, they know about reparations. $5 million. The chairman is a Jewish gay guy. So why is he calling on him? And they gave him $5 million a year ago. So now what we're doing is saying, where's the $5 million at? And why is he the chairperson? He cannot represent something that he's not. So these things we have to get people out, even if they were appointed, because we know everybody is not always voted in, but they're appointed in, get them out